History is not set in stone, but it is often written by it. A major discovery has now challenged what we thought we knew about early human technology. In the Obi Rakhmat rock shelter in Uzbekistan, archaeologists found something amazing. They unearthed small, carefully shaped stone points. These artifacts are not just old, they are ancient. Using modern dating methods, scientists confirmed their age. The stone points are approximately 80,000 years old. This makes them the oldest known arrowheads in the world. This finding pushes back the known date for bow and arrow technology by thousands of years. It tells us that our ancestors were more advanced than we previously believed. The Obi Rakhmat discovery is more than just a new record. It changes our understanding of early human life. Before this, the oldest evidence for archery came from Ethiopia and was about 74,000 years old. Finding even older arrowheads in Central Asia is a big surprise. It suggests that this advanced hunting technology was not limited to one small area of Africa. Instead, it seems to have been more widespread. Early humans, or perhaps their close relatives, were using complex tools across vast distances. This technology would have given them a huge advantage. It allowed them to hunt more safely and effectively, which was key to their survival and expansion into new lands. This finding forces us to reconsider the timeline of human innovation. The development of the bow and arrow was a critical step in our evolution. It represents a leap in cognitive ability. Making these tools required careful planning, skill, and an understanding of physics. The fact that this technology existed 80,000 years ago is remarkable. It shows that the minds of these early people were incredibly sophisticated. They were not just surviving, they were inventing. As expert Christian Tryon noted, we often underestimate the abilities of our ancestors. This discovery proves that they were capable of great ingenuity long before we once thought possible. The location of the find is also very important. Obi Rakhmat is situated along ancient migration routes. Central Asia was a crossroads where different groups of early humans met. The presence of such advanced technology here provides a new piece in the puzzle of human migration. It raises questions about how and when these skills spread. Did one group invent the bow and arrow and carry it with them as they moved? Or did different groups develop similar technologies independently? The arrowheads from Uzbekistan open up a new chapter in the story of our journey across the globe, a story filled with more complexity and wonder than we ever imagined. How do archaeologists know these small stones were arrowheads? The answer lies in their design and the marks they carry. The artifacts, known as micropoints, are small, thin, and triangular. They are too light and fragile to have been used on the end of a heavy spear. A spear needs a larger, more robust point to be effective. These points, however, are perfectly suited for the tip of a lightweight arrow shaft. Their size and shape suggest they were designed for flight, intended to be launched at high speed from a distance. The careful craftsmanship shows that the toolmakers knew exactly what they were doing. They were creating a specialized tool for a specific purpose: long-range hunting. Further proof comes from microscopic analysis of the artifacts. When scientists examined the tips of these stone points under powerful microscopes, they found telling damage. Many of the points had tiny cracks and impact fractures. These are not random breaks. They are consistent with the kind of damage caused by a high-velocity impact. This is the signature of a projectile striking a target. It is the same kind of wear and tear we would expect to see on an arrowhead that has been fired from a bow. This physical evidence strongly supports the idea that these were not just simple cutting tools or spear tips, they were the lethal business end of an arrow. Of course, a major challenge in archaeology is that organic materials rarely survive for tens of thousands of years. Wood and sinew, the materials used to make bows and arrow shafts, decay over time. As a result, no bows or complete arrows were found at the Obi Rakhmat site. This lack of direct evidence has caused some experts to remain skeptical. Without finding a bow alongside the points, they argue, we cannot be 100% certain. However, the indirect evidence is very compelling. The combination of the point's specific design and the impact damage creates a strong case for their use as arrowheads. It is a classic example of archaeological detective work. Comparing these finds to others around the world adds more context. Similar projectile points have been found at other sites, but they are all younger. Discoveries in France dated to around 54,000 years ago, and in Sri Lanka from 48,000 years ago, were once considered some of the earliest. The Uzbekistan arrowheads are significantly older. This suggests that the history of this technology is longer and more complex than we knew. It appears that the bow and arrow was a tool with a deep history, possibly appearing in different parts of the world at different times, used by different groups of hominins as they adapted to their environments. One of the most fascinating questions raised by the Obi Rakhmat discovery is, who made these arrowheads? The identity of the tool makers is a mystery. Around 80,000 years ago, Central Asia was known to be Neanderthal territory. However, no other definitive evidence of Neanderthals using bows and arrows has ever been found anywhere else. This type of advanced projectile technology has always been associated with our own species. If Neanderthals did make these tools, it would completely change our view of their cognitive abilities and technological skills. It would mean they were capable of the same kind of complex multi-part tool construction as modern humans. The plot thickens when we look at other discoveries from the same site. In 2003, archaeologists at Obi Rakhmat unearthed the remains of a child. This fossil, known as Obi Rakhmat I, has a puzzling mix of features. The child's teeth appear Neanderthal-like, but its skull shows some traits that are more similar to modern humans. This has led to speculation that the child could be a hybrid, the offspring of a Neanderthal, and this possibility highlights that the region was a contact zone where different hominin groups could have met, interacted, and possibly interbred. The arrowheads could be the product of this cultural exchange. Another leading theory suggests that the technology was not invented by local Neanderthals at all. Instead, it may have been brought into the region by early modern humans. These groups were migrating out of Africa and the Levant, the Eastern Mediterranean, around this time. The stone tool style at Obi Rakhmat shows some similarities to toolkits from the Levant, but also has unique, innovative features. It is possible that a group of modern humans arrived in Central Asia carrying this new bow and arrow technology with them. This would have given them a significant survival advantage as they moved into new territories occupied by other hominins. This debate gets to the heart of what it means to be human. For a long time, we have defined our species by our superior intellect and tool use. If Neanderthals were also using bows and arrows, the line between us and them becomes much blurrier. The Obi Rakhmat site could represent a moment of technological transfer, where one group learned from another. Or it could be evidence of independent invention. The child's remains suggest that the biological lines were already blurring. Perhaps the cultural and technological lines were as well. Untangling this mystery is key to understanding the complex human landscape of the Middle Paleolithic. The discovery of the 80,000-year-old arrowheads is a monumental step forward, but it is not the end of the story. In many ways, it marks a new beginning for research into early human technology. The findings from Obi Rakhmat have opened up many new questions that demand further investigation. One of the most pressing tasks is to find more evidence to confirm the identity of the toolmakers. Future archaeological work at the site and in the surrounding region will focus on finding more hominin fossils. The hope is that new discoveries could provide clearer genetic or anatomical proof of who was living at Obi Rakhmat and using these advanced tools. Scientists are also planning to trace the origins of the people who inhabited the rock shelter. By comparing the stone tool technology at Obi Rakhmat with other sites, particularly those in the Levant, researchers hope to find a connection. Are there clear archaeological links that show a migration of people and ideas from the Middle East into Central Asia? Genetic analysis of any new fossils found could also help establish a relationship between these populations. Understanding where the Obi Rakhmat people came from will help us understand how this revolutionary bow and arrow technology spread across the ancient world, transforming human hunting strategies along the way. The search is also on for even older evidence of projectile technology. If 80,000-year-old arrowheads exist in Uzbekistan, it is possible that the invention of the bow and arrow happened even earlier, perhaps back in Africa or the Middle East. Archaeologists will now re-examine collections from other old sites, looking for similar micropoints that may have been overlooked or misidentified in the past. These tiny artifacts are easy to miss, and their significance was not always understood. This new discovery provides a clear search image for what to look for, potentially unlocking a much deeper history of archery that has been hiding in plain sight in museum drawers. Ultimately, the story of the bow and arrow is the story of human ingenuity. The Obi Rakhmat arrowheads are a powerful reminder that our ancestors were intelligent, adaptable, and innovative. They were constantly pushing the boundaries of what was possible, developing new tools to master their environments. While skepticism remains due to the lack of organic remains, the evidence from the stones themselves is powerful. Continued research, excavation, and analysis are essential. We must keep digging, both in the ground and through existing collections, to piece together the full, unfinished story of one of humanity's most important inventions. The next discovery could be just around the corner, ready to rewrite history once again.